All right, Herd, it is time for another amazing episode of Unicorn Chef. Tonight's chef came all the way across the world to be close to us to cook and share her recipe tonight. As always, we'd love to see what you cook, so we publish the recipe a week in advance every time. And it's always fun to see how different recipes or same recipes come out differently. So share what you're doing, hashtag Unicorn Chef. Yarden, if you'd like to talk about tonight's charity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I actually just moved to North America, so I don't know too many North American charities yet. In Israel, I generally prefer women's shelters and women's organizations. In North America, any food bank around you is always good. There's ones all over the place, so wherever you are, there's probably a food bank near you that needs some donations. So whatever you can do, it's always good.
All right, sounds good. So you just moved from Israel, right?
Yeah, a few months ago.
A few months ago. And then you just got back from a trip. So you've been home for all of just a few hours and are going right into the show.
Yeah, I landed back in Canada 10-ish hours ago. Went back to visit some family in Israel after a few months of being away. So I am jet lagged. I have no idea what time it is. And I'm ready to cook and eat and drink and everything.
All right, well, let's get started on that. First question, Yarden, what are you drinking tonight?
So, like I said, I just got back, so I don't have a lot here. I have a bottle of wine and a bottle of scotch. I think we'll start with wine and move on from there.
Nothing helps jet lag like not being able to feel it, right?
Oh, absolutely. So that's the one I got from whichever place is right downstairs. So that's always a good start. Also, I don't have wine glasses yet, so my choices for what do I drink this out of are either a coffee mug or a coffee mug with cats on it.
I'm drinking out of a whiskey glass, which I find easier in the kitchen because it just seems a little more stable anyway.
Yes, it is. I don't like drinking out of wine glasses while I cook because they do tend to spill very, very easily. Coffee glasses, not so much.
Oh, I need to make sure. All right. So, what's up? What's the first thing we should be doing?
So, what we're making today is not actually my recipe. It's a recipe I borrowed from my boyfriend, who I've been cooking for a lot of years. He's a way better cook than I am, and he cooks super cool, super healthy, simple recipes. So this is an awesome recipe of salmon baked in salsa that I borrowed from him, and I hope people like it because it's really great. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take pretty much all our materials, onions, cilantro, lime, tomatoes, throw them in your food processor of choice, and then put them on your fish of choice and put it in the oven. So first thing is turn on the oven on, let me get my Fahrenheit right, somewhere between 350 and 375 degrees. I'm not used to Fahrenheit, so this is as close as I'm gonna get. I think mine is set to 350 right now. No need for a fan or anything. And then we're just gonna start chopping our ingredients. I already pre-separated the cilantro from the, I just took out the leaves because we only need the leaves. So it takes a few minutes, so I just pre-separated them. So I have a bowl of washed and separated cilantro leaves. Then we're gonna chop the onion. Got one very normal yellow onion here. Chopping it. It doesn't need to be super finely chopped because it's gonna go into the food processor anyway. Now, if someone doesn't have a food processor or a Fruit Ninja or blender or any of those things, that's fine. It's gonna make your life a little bit harder, so it's one of the basic things I like having in the kitchen, but you can always just chop everything by hand with a knife. Then you do need to chop it pretty small pieces, so it'll cook well, but it's still an option. So just peel the onion and then cut it. So you can do half an onion or the whole onion. It's a matter of taste and how much onion you like in your food. Basically, I like a lot of onion and garlic. Cooking starts with one onion and a few cloves of garlic, and then I sort of decide what I feel like cooking. So this all goes into the food processor.
I was on mute. I was talking to myself. How much cilantro did you put in?
I don't weigh it or anything. I just sort of take one large batch of cilantro and use whatever's there. Basically, the general amount is a lot. The recipe is based around cilantro and tomatoes, so you kind of want a lot of both, but I don't have exact measurements. I never have exact measurements when I cook. Basically, one large batch of cilantro. I know it's not easy to get everywhere. Basically, I moved from Israel, where these things are super common. And then I got to North America, where the basic batch of cilantro is way, way smaller and way more expensive than it is in Israel. Because apparently over here, the base amount of herbs is not this much, it's this much. So amount won't change based on where you are. Now
there we go, there's my salsa.
Garlic. Nice, that was fast. Some garlic, 2-3 cloves, as much as you like.
Yeah, sorry, when I was on mute earlier, is your boyfriend going to make a surprise appearance and say hi?
No, he's actually in Boston right now. He was supposed to maybe be here today, but with COVID and restrictions and travel and tests, he won't make it today. International travel is hard right now. I've been doing a lot of it in the last few weeks, but it's don't really recommend it. It's not fun. So, got the garlic in here. No need to hurry. We're waiting for the oven to heat to warm itself up anyway. And a couple of tomatoes.
So is this one of your favorite recipes that he makes?
Yeah, this is actually an awesome recipe. It's also super, super easy. And other than fish that you kind of need to buy day of, I sort of always have everything for this recipe. And I don't like to plan my food. Don't really like to, have to pre-soak things or think too much ahead about what I cook. So this is really fun. I always just have everything. I just need to get fish, and it works with different kinds of fish too. So you can sort of get whatever's available, and it just works, and it's super tasty. Okay, got my cilantro here. So add some lime.
What do you typically serve this over?
So very much depends on mood. What I got today that I'll make is some vegetables. I thought of doing some oven baked carrots and sweet potatoes. That could work really well. This could also work with pasta. Could be a cool pasta sauce, or just fries. Or if you feel like something lighter, then a salad works. Okay,
So I'm gonna be serving mine over pasta. I've got some really nice pappardelle.
Nice. Yeah, for spices I use sumac here. I know sumac isn't super easy to get everywhere, so it's not mandatory. Just if you have it, it's a super cool spice. Goes well with pretty much everything. And just salt and pepper. Very basic, or at least my basic. I've learned that different places have a different idea of what's basic.
What else are you used to getting? What else are you used to getting in Israel that's hard to find in Canada?
Well, spices. Not everything. I mean, there's a lot that is like easy to get in Canada, but generally spices are a lot easier and a lot cheaper in the Middle East. So. Very nice. All sorts of different lentils, chickpeas, sesame. It's all, you can get all of them here. I live in Montreal. It's a big city. You can get pretty much everything, but you need to work a bit harder than I'm used to. But I'm sure there's stuff here that I'm way harder to get than here in Israel. I just didn't discover them yet because I'm not used to them.
Where are you in Canada?
Montreal.
Oh, Montreal.
Yeah.
I love
Cool.
I love Montreal. Last time I was there, I had a poutine for every single meal.
Oh my god. It is my drunk food. So there's our salsa. Right. I don't usually eat super cheesy, fatty food. But like it's a great munch when I'm drunk. So I just have like poutine with everything. Okay, so I'll move my mess over there.
So what brought you to Montreal?
Well, it's a super cool city. I'm also a circus artist, so there's lots of circus here, a lot of art, a lot of super cool things going on here. And it's on the easier side of the country for me, who travels a lot towards Europe and stuff. Okay, now something super simple happens. I take the oven resistant tray, some olive oil on it. It's non-stick, but I just put olive oil in everything. It's habit. Then take your fish. I have a bit more than I put in the recipe because couldn't get the exact amount in the supermarket, and that way I have a bit of extra food. It's always nice. So I take the fish. And then I just completely cover it with salsa. It's gonna look like way too much salsa. I'm gonna cover it completely. That's awesome because it keeps all the fluids in, doesn't let the fish dry out, and it makes sure it's gonna cook all the way through, but not too much. And it's gonna absorb all the salsa flavors. For fish here, I use salmon. This is gonna work with other kinds of fish, sea bass, all sorts of white fish could work here. I haven't actually tried it with any other kind of fish, but it definitely should work. And if you have extra, you can just store it and then you have salsa and eat it with chips. So this just goes right in the oven. Of course, I spilled some salsa on the floor now. So for the side, I'll quickly put something together. We got this sweet potatoes that I pre-cooked in water just to save time. I pre-cooked them in boiling water for about 40 minutes, just to save oven time. You don't have to, you can just put them in the oven and just keep them there longer, but make sure they're ready around the same time as the fish. I pre-cooked them. Then again, you can use whatever side dish you'd like. It can be pasta, it can be rice, it can be as a separate option. I also got some avocados, make some avocado salad. Gonna work well with salsa, so pretty much anything works. I'm just peeling them. They're also easier to peel when they're cooked. Well, mostly easier to peel.
What are some other good recipes that you all have at home?
Let's see, what do I make? I make a lot of sort of curry adaptations, stuff with chickpeas and spinach, lots of spices. I use a lot of coconut cream. That's not actually used too much in the Middle East. It's just a really great ingredient. So a lot of curry, a lot of soups, which is weird because weather is super warm, but we do a lot of soup. Lots of different salads. Like every meal starts with 5 to 10 different kinds of salads. There's a lot of variety, a lot of vegetables being used.
Have you heard of a Finnish salmon soup called lohieto?
I've had it actually. It's really interesting, and I've never had anything like it.
So we did an episode last year with Hari Hursty, and he showed us how to make that. It's just we're having salmon tonight, and you talk about really liking soup. And it was funny because I remember that episode, I thought we were going to be baking salmon like we're doing here. And instead, during the episode, he's like, okay, break out the soup pot. And I was like, wait, hold on. What are we doing? Learn as I went. And I've made it since a couple of times because I find it such an amazing dish. And it's not hard to make.
Really?
It's one of our top 10 most viewed episodes of all time.
Nice. Yeah, actually, two of my favorite things to make are soups and stews because this apartment is the first one where I've ever had a dishwasher. So I learned to really like dishes that don't use a whole lot of, don't dirty a lot of dishes.
Yeah.
That I need to wash later. I keep my my dishwashing to baking. Also a pastry chef, and with baking there really isn't a whole lot of way to avoid washing all the dishes because everything requires a food processor and a mixer and the cutting and the chopping board and 17 different bowls, and there's no way around it. So I'll use 2 dishes for cooking and then 25 for making dessert. Now with the sweet potatoes, I'm just adding some carrots. I'm going with colorful carrots just because I like colorful food, but it works the same way with a normal carrot. I just like it when they're yellow and purple. And just a little bit of olive oil and into the oven with the fish. Yeah, now there's about 20 minutes of waiting for everything to get cooked.
All right, so we're going to go to the straight up just conversation and enjoying our drink part of the evening.
It's the best part.
All right, well, first of all, cheers, Yarden.
Cheers.
Welcome to our continent. So, you're a circus artist.
Yes. Well, I was a circus artist up until COVID.
Okay. Tell us all about that. That you have to. I mean, that is a really unique thing to show up on the show and just be like, yeah, you know, I did some stuff in the circus. Like,
yeah, circus actually comes more natural to me than tech. I have way more background in circus than in tech. Used to be a dancer and a gymnast and all those related areas, and those things didn't really work out. So I sort of just started taking circus classes, and I was like, oh, I know this. I can do this. And like, started training in the circus, went to circus school, met all the people working in Israel, and just started working in the circus. It sounds way weirder than it actually was. Started teaching, doing shows. I've had, up until, well, COVID, I had my circus groups in Israel. I was teaching a couple of circus groups, some beginners, some advanced. When I say circus, circus is like a really wide thing. People think I walk on a tightrope while I juggle knives. That's not actually what I do. I'm an aerialist. It means I do equally crazy stuff, just minus the knives.
so what is an aerialist?
Those are the weird people climbing ropes and silks and hoops that are like 5, 6, 10 meters up in the air and doing saltos and splits and all that, while wearing funny costumes and glitter and makeup and all those things. So that's what I do.
Okay, so you're like when they like climb up the like silk things and then they do all the flips and the swirls. You do that.
That's me.
All right. So what got you? That was just the part of being in the circus that was the most like dancing, and that's why it was a natural transition.
Yeah, pretty much. I came from gymnastics, and the difference between doing saltos on the ground and doing saltos in the air is not all that huge. It's same muscles, same technique, same general attitude. So it's a pretty smooth transition. So I just transitioned there. And the whole performance aspect is very me. The whole standing on stage in full makeup and glitter is very me. And it's cool. It's really fun. It's full of adrenaline. End of the day, you're somewhere 8 meters in the air and trusting yourself to not fall and die. While a couple thousand people are watching, so it's a pretty cool thing to do.
Can you share what circuses you did any work with?
I only worked in Israel, so I didn't do any global circus work. There's no global companies people are gonna know. It was local productions and local groups. No huge names, no Cirque du Soleil and such. But there's pretty big productions going on in Israel, and a lot of fun work to do. Very different kinds of work. There's the huge public productions. There's weddings. There's birthdays. A couple of years ago, I performed at my best friend's wedding. She invited me She invited me as an entertainer to her wedding, to go and perform. So I built routine for her, and that was super fun.
Are there any
There's a lot of
videos out
different
there of
kinds
you
of work.
performing?
Oh yeah, there's plenty. Yeah, there's plenty of videos. There's also the random TV appearance. Sometimes they would bring us to be in the background of like music videos or kids shows. So once in a while, I'm like somewhere in the background of some random thing. There is a kids commercial, and somewhere in the background, I'm there doing something weird.
So is there a way for us to find these videos?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way for me to. Oh, there is a chat. I can find something. My Twitter is full of them. Trying to figure out what's public. Yeah, my Twitter is full of those. I don't have a YouTube channel or anything, but let's see if I can find something on my Twitter.
Yeah, see if you can find it and post it in the chat.
Yeah, Twitter is the worst search engine ever.
So while you're doing that, quick question. Do you hate the 401?
What's the 401?
Our fellow Canadian in the chat asked, being in Montreal, does she hate the 401? So I'm guessing it's a key highway.
I have no idea. I don't think I've been here long enough to know.
Well, it was Mike. He was probably just making it up anyway. It's the number suspiciously only fit on one hand, so that sounds like Mike.
I don't have my Canadian references down yet. I haven't been here long enough, and Quebec is a whole different sort of thing. I don't speak French either.
Well, if I can offer any advice, it would be not to listen to Mike anyway. So you're good to go.
That's a good start. Well, found one thing. That's not the thing I was looking for. There's something. Yeah, send you in the chat. Oh, here's the thing I was looking for.
Oh, yep, I see it. All right. Ooh,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Here's a couple stuff.
I'm going to share this. Here we go. Boom. Check that out. And yeah, there she is doing silks. That's very cool. All right. And here, check these out. Okay, so from there, you decided getting into tech was a thing.
I actually multitasked for a long time. I kind of switched from one to the other for a few years. Sometimes I did both. I had this huge production a few years back where I was working tech at the same time. So I would do a show, and then I would do like work meetings from my phone behind the scenes. So people on my team would see me in like full glitter costume with dancers running around behind me, being like, yeah, so this week I worked on. Yeah, I did choose to switch into tech at some point. I chose to fully switch with COVID because Circus is kind of shut down for a year and a half. There isn't work. Things are sort of coming back in different speeds in different countries. But in any case, tech is a lot of people would laugh at that. Everyone who didn't work in performance arts, tech is way more stable. So in some ways, it's a healthier industry, and it doesn't have a strict deadline in an age-related way. I mean, when you hang around in the air, trusting your muscles, there's only so many years you can do that. Till at some point, your body's like, nope. And I have my injuries. I've had my surgeries to fix different things. There's only so many years you can keep doing that.
Yeah. So
And,
what's the same about being a circus aerialist and being in tech?
Well, I teach in both. I teach circus and I teach tech, so teaching is surprisingly similar, even when it's teaching very different things. Knowing how to multitask is really, really useful, and knowing how to approach problems, even if when it's very different problems, and dealing with people. A lot of people in tech don't really consider that a part of the work. In performance arts, you really can't avoid that. But it's at least for me, it's a major part, dealing with people, knowing how people learn, how people work, how people do things. So, for me, that's more important to me than knowing how to code. Maybe it's because I'm better at that than at coding. Everyone uses their own strength.
So what exactly do you do in tech now?
Um, I'm a software engineer. I'm a senior software engineer at CrowdStrike. So I do code. That is what I do. So I have to be at least decent at it. I do research. I also teach Windows internals courses and workshops and do conference talks. And I stayed on stage. I don't really do circus on stage anymore, but I like being on stage. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So in CrowdStrike, I don't do that. In CrowdStrike, I'm a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of CrowdStrike, yeah, I teach, I give conference talks, I do all that.
I did not know you worked at CrowdStrike. That is
Yep.
very, very funny.
Why is it funny?
So when I launched Scythe, which is my full-time job now, all the unicorn stuff, Dmitry Alperovich, the co-founder of CrowdStrike, was one of my 2 board directors. Like, Dmitry has helped me build this company for the last 3 years.
We could build more companies than I realized.
Yeah. So he lives about 20 minutes from me here, and is just an amazing and very intelligent human being.
Yeah, he is.
But no, I didn't know you worked at
come for a guest
CrowdStrike. I'm very
appearance.
familiar with CrowdStrike.
Yeah, actually, before CrowdStrike, I worked for the direct competitor, SentinelOne. That's an Israeli firm. So, yeah, my first tech job was in SentinelOne. And then at some point, I quit SentinelOne. I joined the Circus. I went to Circus school for a while. I love the logo and everything. And then after Circus school, I joined
Tony, who is in the chat. This is actually a gift from him, and he was just commenting on my choice in aprons. So that's why I was holding it up to the video to give a shout out to Tony. I don't want to acknowledge that Mike's here on the chat because God knows what will happen.
It's an awesome gift. I want one of those too.
Yeah, no, I've been we've expanded the show. Mike Ellis, Caitlin Kiska, and Ryan Kovar are now the 3 additional unicorn chefs on staff. They're going to be launching their first show. So Caitlin and Mike next week on the 14th are going to be doing a boxed wine tasting extravaganza. On top of that, we have come up with the idea of our own food cooking show. So we're going to be launching that in the future. And thank you, Keenan. In probably December, we're going to launch the first Only Aprons episode, where we will just wear aprons for the whole episode. And they'll have to be strategic because YouTube does, in fact, block these things. We've experienced that once before. We still don't know how we got blocked, but we do know YouTube blocked us. So we got a whole bunch of different things going on with that. The show's gonna be growing.
That is actually a problem I know from Circus. Not specifically aprons, but factoring for different movements with different costumes. There's stories. There have been stories around that, different costumes that were not factored for different types of movements, types of interaction with elements. People got stuck. People got naked.
Wait, what?
There-
Oh, you mean they were like
there's-
accidentally exposed?
Yes.
Yeah.
People got exposed. Things moved around where they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Especially when working with different elements. Some are made of fabric, some are made of iron, some are catching different pieces of fabric in different ways.
I'm not gonna peel that one back. Stay tuned to an Only Aprons episode where hopefully we have no wardrobe malfunctions and the whole joke works and is just titillating enough to be funny, but not to get us blocked.
It's a very fine line to walk.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to us getting our act together and starting off the cooking show games. So we got a really unique idea around that I'm looking forward to doing, and it's a lot of fun to collaborate with the different folks because I mean between Mike, Caitlin, and Ryan, we're a pretty comedic bunch. So it's a lot of fun. Yes, I did say titillating. That was the double entendre.
Maybe at some point we can figure out a baking episode. I've always wanted to do that because I cook to eat. I've always cooked, but I'm actually a trained pastry chef, and people are really, really scared of baking for some reason.
Well, I know somebody who is in the chat. We've done one baking episode in the entire history of Unicorn Chef. She is our preeminent baker, and perhaps she might join us as the fifth in our show here to launch a baking line. So we will see.
Awesome.
And you who have not been named yet, but you are in the chat, and I know you are celebrating in the chat right now. I think we might have your first guest. Oh, she said definitely. Ooh. So I will just automatically say that it's going to be called Bake on Bake on Bake. Okay. So it looks like Keenan is potentially going to be the fifth member of the group here, and we'll be launching a baking series. So I guess that just happened. Yarden, your dreams came true. This is what you've always wanted, true. Right?
Yeah. I never do that because baking is just slow, and having a 3-hour episode that contains 2 sections of it, now we wait for an hour, is not all that interesting.
That's why I didn't want to do the baking part, because I have a hard time doing that. But you know what? Y'all are going to figure that out. And I'm really fond of delegating and saying that's not my problem. So, Keenan, all yours. You own this. You got your first lined up. Looks like Shannon in the chat is also in on it. And boom, away we go.
I'm the problem. Now someone needs to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, yes, we know you can get baked. I believe that's legal in your state. Mm-hmm. Sorry, no, I'm making fun of somebody else.
It's legal here, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's legal here. I think I can legally get baked.
Well, he's not in Canada. He is, I believe, in one of the states, though, where it is legal.
We can do that kind of baked episode.
I suppose that would be a funny episode, the people who can legally get baked, just getting baked and what shows up with food. Although I have a feeling it would be one of those things, like it would start with a really cool recipe and then it would kind of wander. And then the next thing, like the episode ends and everybody's just eating Funyuns.
Yes.
But, you know, that's all that ever happens. Each episode.
And then you take away the Funyuns, and then you see what happens.
How do we judge our salmon's ready?
Well, the reason I don't teach people how to bake is because my tentative answer to these things is gut feeling, but it's not a very well translated concept. The more accurate answer is you stick a knife or fork in the middle and you just sort of open it up a little bit and judge by the color. Which is really a personal preference thing because it's not chicken, it's fish. If you buy your fish fresh, you can eat it raw too. It's not dangerous or anything. So it's completely based on your level of comfort with how you like your fish. where you just sort of slice it open a little bit and judge by the color whether you want to eat it now or not.
You can also tell by the texture. So if you're able to stick the knife in and it has that flaky, cooked, good to go. And of course, with fresh fish, you've got a lot of leeway there. Bakers are kitchen hipsters.
I reject that. That's only been true since COVID, and everyone started baking bread obsessively.
You'll have to check out the YouTube chat afterward, Yarden, because I know you can't see it right now, but it is, ever since this baking thing has hit off, it is just blown up.
I mean, I've been baking for like 20 years now. I have a lot of opinions on that.
So you said you were a pastry chef.
Yeah, I'm a trained pastry chef. Well, I've been baking for a lot of years. I've basically been baking since I was 8 or 10 years old. And then after my military service, I needed to do something. So I went to finally study it formally. So I became a trained pastry chef. I did like a 6-month course or something. Got a lot of theoretical studies that I didn't have before. Sort of, in a lot of ways, I knew what worked, but I didn't know why. So I sort of learned the why. I learned lots of techniques I didn't know before, lots of formalized French baking and all that. So before I did tech, I became a trained pastry chef. Then I decided that I love baking, but I really don't want to work in that field. It's a really, really hard field to work on, and I'm not enough of a morning person to wake up at 5 and start baking. And there's not a lot of work for night people in the baking field.
Yeah, no, I mean, you wake up at sort of 4 a.m. and got to get the fresh things going, right? To have them ready by 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, your shift starts at 4 or 5, you wake up at 3. And it's like, if I'm up at 3, it means I haven't gone to sleep yet. I'm not waking up at 3.
Something ain't going right?
Yeah, no. I'm not a nice person at 5 a.m.
I don't know anybody that actually is.
I actually do. I'm not sure I disagree. I'm not sure I agree with their lifestyle. I'm not sure I approve of it. But, I accept their right to live their life the way they choose. But it's not me. I have lots of friends who are pastry chefs, and they're amazing. They're way better than me. But yeah, I've been baking for a lot of years now. You can actually ask Dimitri. I made him a cake. I made him a cake once on my first week at CrowdStrike.
Oh yeah?
Yep. Came to an offsite and I baked a cake because I came to a tech offsite and I was like, what am I doing here? I'll go to the kitchen.
And what was the response to the cake?
I mean, you can ask him. He lives close to you, but I think he loved it. He was very excited. I think everyone was very confused by the new hire.
I'll be like, you apparently had Yarden's cake, and what did you think?
I think everyone was really confused by the new hire that arrived and just started baking. Yeah, I decided to keep that as a hobby, but I am actually a trained pastry chef, so I can rant about why bread works the way it works for like 3 hours.
You should, I don't know when Leslie's going to do the next Pancakes Con, but the last one, I guess the two she's done, the way the setup is, you have to pick a hobby and blend that with something you're speaking about. So for me, the last one I did is I did a cocoa van, and I did a whole thing on Julia Childs, and then I tied that into detection engineering. And then I produced a cocoa van at the end in front of the audience.
Yeah, I actually gave a talk at the last Pancakes Con. I don't remember what my tech part was, but my non-tech part was about cookies. And I had to really narrow it down to fit in 20 minutes.
Well, I am ready whenever you are. So when you are
I probably am too. Let's see. I also like my fish half raw. Oh yeah, that feels The vegetables could use a bit more time in the oven because this oven is a bit on the light end, but they're pre-cooked, so they're fine. Let me plate this.
So what I did here for mine is I did pappardelle and I blanched arugula to round it out. And then I'm going to, that's going to be my bed that the salmon and salsa is going to go over.
Sounds amazing.
Oh yeah. Check that out. That's pretty good. Ooh. Okay, that's a little hot. Grab it properly. There we go. That's coming out of the oven. Stays nice and juicy. And for those of you who don't like the word,
the salsa
moist.
wraps it really nice.
Moist. It's moist.
Moist is such a weird word. Yep, here's mine.
Hold on, not quite. Still plating.
Yeah, the part of cooking I never really got down is the plating. I'm not used to plating and amounts. I'm not used to cooking for one person. I come from a very large family, and generally in Israel, when you cook, you always expect guests. Even if they don't show up, you always kind of expect guests. So I have no idea how to cook for one or two people. I'm just used to serving things in like huge plates and everyone's grabbing some. So plating is part that I have well in when I bake, but not so much when I cook. So yours is going to look nicer.
All right, well, hold on. Getting set up for our shot here. And then we are going to, okay, ready? Sweet. All right. Yarden, the Circus aerialist, the eminent pastry chef, and the awesome CrowdStrike software engineer. If you can talk about how, again, we can do charitable work and contribute to our local communities.
Yeah, absolutely. Like whichever charity you feel most connected to, that's the right one. For me, what I always went with is women's shelters or helping disadvantaged women. For tech, I do some. I give all sorts of volunteer workshops for groups of disadvantaged women or students or basically anyone who doesn't really fit in traditional tech. Food shelters are always a good choice. Homeless shelters are always a good choice. There's some everywhere. But whatever you feel the most personally connected to, feel happy contributing to, whether it's time, money, or anything else, that's the best choice.
Well, I have to. Sorry, I don't know if you saw that pop up. There's a whole satanic butter thing going on. But Yarden, congratulations. You have now helped grow the Unicorn Chef staff and inspire us to finally take the leap from just being cooking to now having a baking part. And I believe that our future hostess is dying to get you booked for that and is excited to see what comes out of the oven.
Just let me rant about bread.
I think there's going to be an entire episode on this, and you will be able to deliver a PhD thesis on it.
Amazing. I got one.
So we look forward to seeing everybody every week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, a little bit of shift left or right, depending on time zone. And hashtag Unicorn Chef, share what you're cooking or in the future baking. And have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Bryson.